Hello, welcome to theartclasses.com. Today I am going to show you how to paint a scene of a dragon chasing a dragon hunter. So this is speed painting of a dragon flying and trying to get to this guy or just playing with them. This one was done within 30 minutes, and usually before I start a speed painting, I'll have some kind of a scene in mind, and I will trying to break it down to like a foreground, which is this kind of rock first, and then midground, which is where the action usually happen, and then background, which is this mountain range here all the way through there. And during the process, I might change my mind and switch thing up a little bit, but usually I'll have a pretty rough idea in mind of what I want and set it up like foreground, midground, background, and I usually trying to set the composition first with the shape. But anyways, I'm using a Photoshop and Wacom tablet. And if you are using a pencil and paper, this tutorial is probably not for you. You can go to my channel to check out more tutorial on drawing. But if you are interested in digital painting, then you can just watch this tutorial, and then you might get an idea of some things that might be useful to your art. Anyways, let's get started. So here's how I started. I usually either have like a blank canvas of the either cool color temperature of blue or either warm hue of some sort of green or brown. But this one I start off with existing painting, and it depends on the day. Some of the video I start off with just blank canvas, and some of the video I just start off with using the existing palette. I'm not using any of the image that exists already. I'm just using the palette. So I'll paint over and I'll get some cool and warm of the existing palette that I have, so I don't have to like go around and find color that I want. So that's it's a lot easier that way sometimes. And sometimes it depends on the day. I'll just start off with a blank canvas. And this is I'm painting at this point. In the beginning, I'm just going to show you at the normal speed. So this is normal speed until up to like maybe 10 minutes. I'm just going to wrap this video up and just going to double the speed. So right now I'm just thinking about making a background shape of the mountain, just using a regular flat brush that I made. And when I'm starting to, in the beginning, I was just thinking of how the scene can compose. I'll have like some kind of story in mind. I'll just came up with a story. I'll now have like some idea of maybe this guy positioning the dragon positioning a certain spot on the image. How am I gonna make him a center of attention, and how am I gonna have him look to the secondary focal point, which is looking down at the two guys he was chasing. And I will lay out, typically I will lay out the scene within 3 layers, so to speak, in a simple way. But there might be a lot more layer involved. Just in case if I screwed up, I don't make layer to add the effect or overlay. Usually I'll have those things merged down, because I use those things specially for just to find color and find value or find something interesting in there. But I'm not usually using that as a layer on top, if that makes any sense. But mostly when I do speed painting, I would think first composition, and then shape, and then value, because it's a pretty fast process and you have to get it done within a limited amount of time. So I'm not looking for more, and if I have time or I can finish to my goal or where I want to achieve, like okay, I got the shape, I got the composition, I got the shape, I got the light source or value range that I want, and then I have a little more time to think about some of the things like adding what kind of color scheme or things like that. But color scheme will usually come during the painting, so I don't usually think about it that much. It's come with the palette. So right now I'm just establishing the scene of the mountain range, and then if you can see roughly, you can see like the mountain range in the background already, and then some of the element in the foreground. So, and I'm not gonna doing at the normal speed the whole time because it's going to be boring. So I'm just going to fast forward it at this point. Time slower first, like 1.5, and now I'm just going to time 2. And then I'm just going to try to refine the mountain range first. At this point, it's about 5-6 minutes in. So yeah, I'm refining mountain range using just flat brush. And recently I just found out that it's pretty useful to maximize your the use of your stroke or your brush, and you can kind of slowly go down and try to think of the shape more. At this point I'm still not kind of used to it because I've been back to painting speed painting regularly for the past only a few weeks, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make it even faster to get the basic stuff done, like the background. So at this point I'm still kind of rusty when figuring out to do background. So it should have been a lot easier than just going back and forth and trying to do the background. I should have just done the stroke, which is, I'll show you when I do the dragon. I'll just do the continuous stroke to get the exact shape that I want. Now I'm using a bunch of texture brush and a bunch of brush, and then eventually in the end, this is not very useful right now. And then I went back and I changed the mountain range a little bit, which is not very sufficient for timing wise. And now I think I'm trying out different texture, and I guess that works, so I keep it. But then I go in again and trying to make the separation of the shape, so you can, because it's still a little blurry, and I like it when it has a lot more visibility or a lot more hard edge, or the readability is better. So now I'm just using a stroke. I'm not lifting up my Wacom, using brush and just trying to maximize the use of my stroke and getting the dragon right in just a few strokes. So that's the second stroke. As you see, it's get darker, get the head, and then now I'm getting the bottom. So basically that's pretty much a dragon within a few strokes, and then I add a little more on the detail. So what I'm saying, that to maximize your brush stroke is to kind of get the correct shape right away, or try. It's not usually working out successfully 100% of the time. Sometimes it takes a few times, but sometimes, like, if you know what you want exactly, then it's gonna turn out well. But if you're still trying to find your way, like what I did with the mountain, it's a little hard. So, and especially if you do speed painting right in the first thing in the morning, like to warm up, then it's gonna sometimes get hard, and sometimes it might get easier. But if you do it like during the day for lunch or something like that, you probably warm up already, so you're not getting stuck, or your hand will probably be a little more fluid. So now I'm just gonna try to tweaking the shape of the dragon a little more. And adding some legs, which I realized that you're not going to see the legs anyway, so why am I wasting time painting a leg? Because there's going to be a bunch of, I was planning to have a bunch of smoke trail down at the bottom. So, and it's better when you think ahead, so you can, you already have an image in mind, and you know what part you need to paint, and you know what part you don't, so you don't wasting time painting a certain area that it's going to be covered up. Then you're going to not need that, so why would go paint that? But so when you think ahead of time, you have this thought process of, the more you do it, you get used to, you're like, oh, I'm going to have that arrangement on a certain spot, and then you're going to cover up the certain spot, so you can just leave that spot and not paint it and go move on to something else instead. Like this time I'm going move on to paint some other two dudes and try to arrange the whole picture basically. And then I try to move those two dudes around and relocate it to the spot that I want. And then the dragon's a little right into the middle, so I move him up to the top left corner. So these are two separate layers, and eventually in the end I'll probably merge them down. And now I'm gonna paint a smoke trail, which the dragon is gonna spit some fire out. And I start with regular brush, and then I add on top some texture brush that indicate or similar to whatever the smoke might come out. It's kind of tricky. So a lot of time, if I'm not familiar with the subject, I'll look at a reference. Like this one, I'll look at some napalm bomb that kind of lay out along, and I'm just gonna try to make it my best within the amount of time that was given to mimic that. And sometimes it's tricky. You just have to compromise your stroke with whatever you see. You can't try to capture the essence of the reference you used, not trying to copy it. So just look at it, see what part you can tweak and what's the essence of. It's like when you're using reference, I always think of it as when I'm trying to draw a gesture drawing from a human being. In light drawing, you have gesture drawing, and you're not trying to make everything look super realistic. You're trying to capture the essence of the pose. So same thing as what I'm doing to the smoke and the fire that's going to come out here, is to just hint or capture the essence of the image that I used for the reference, but not to make everything look exactly like that, because it's going to be impossible to capture those within a short amount of time. So use your time wisely. And speed painting is a good practice. A lot of me ask me if speed painting is it good to, if you try and get better and try to do speed painting. I'll say yes and no. It's very good if you get you to paint every day, then you get better pretty fast, because you try a variety of things. And if your community has like a topic that set out, then you can do different kind of topic, and it'll give you some different ideas. But if you keep doing the same thing over and over, then probably not. But I would recommend like do the similar thing in 3 or 4 or 5 times to get used to it. Like if you trying to do a bunch of like I'm familiar with the snow scene, so I'll do that 5, 6, 7, 10 times and trying to get familiar with it. And as I do that, I'll get faster on that environment scene. And then you can try to do maybe underwater, and then for the consecutive time, and you get better on that level. And you're trying to bring up your maybe desert something, so you get used to a certain environment, and you build up your visual memory to get your level to go up on a certain aspect of the environment, and then you kind of build that up. And you might want to try a different route on like mech, and try your way to cover a lot of topic as much as you can. But no one can be expert in everything. Like on mech, I might be able to draw a robot here and there, but the whole environment is going to take me a lot longer than if I were to do in a fantasy scene or a regular epic environment rather than the epic sci-fi. So in sci-fi, I still have a lot to work on, and it's going to be hard to get to be good at everything. And especially I was a character artist, and then I'm trying to transition into more of the environment, which is, I think there's a lot more fun in that, because you can get to do a bunch of things, and sometimes you can do things a lot quicker. Character-wise, sometimes it can be really quick, because most people know what people look like, and they can spot the flaw right away if you have something wrong with it. But environment, sometimes you can get away with just loose shape and just hiding it in it, not hiding it, but like having a loose edge, and sometimes it's a little more acceptable than having something wrong on a figure. So now I think I have too much of the firepower going on, so I'm just going to use texture brush to erase this. And you don't know this is about time too, so it's faster. And now I'm just trying to tweak in the shape of the firepower, or the fire itself, because I think there's too much. I probably want a majority of them to be smoke. and then I'm gonna have to fix the two guys that's running out. And now I'm trying to draw a fireball that shoot out from his mouth. I wasn't thinking of how the dragon shoot the fire like a flamethrower at this point. It was just like he's still kind of far away, so he just kind of split it out. And usually you see me zoom in a lot without zooming out, because you want the overall picture to type together. That's the purpose of like me zooming out. I'm not looking to add detail or trying to do scale on the dragon. That might come later if if your image has a potential and your composition is good, your scene looks good, it's have good story, it has something interesting in it, then you can take your speed painting to another level by like, okay, I'll save that and maybe I'll work on it later and trying to make something better by adding more light and shadow and keep it. But you can tell right away if your speed painting it's good enough to take it to another level or not. Like if you look at it in the thumbnail and you have or look at it in a smaller size and it has like a really good lighting and it looked like a photograph, then your speed painting is probably okay to take it up to another level, because your value and your light shadow composition is correct. Then yeah, because like when you look at some painting in thumbnail, it look like a photograph, and it's because you have somehow managed to make the lighting and shadow correct, and you're just like, oh, okay, then that might be worth it a try as you bring it to the next level. But for the most part, keep it simple and don't go overboard with tiny detail. Just focus on a certain point. Like in this one, I'm focusing pretty much on the firepower that the dragon was doing and the guy that was running out, not much else. And now I flip and I feel like, oh, maybe I should keep it this way, because it's kind of lead into, like when you look in the image, you look at the two guys first and you lead into the dragon, rather than the other way around. If you're from the west, then you probably look from left to right, and I think the majority of the world now probably look from left to right rather than right to left, and it's read better from left to right. So I'm just gonna keep this composition. And like I said, my mountain range in the back kind of sucks. It's pretty bad. So I'm just gonna fix it. And as I fix it, I found out that if rather than having it be a 2D flat looking up the front, I probably better off bringing the mountain range up to the front closer a little bit on the right side, and then push the mountain range in the back into the back and adding some more detail, because it's adding to the story of, or it's adding a lot more attention, because you see that little hole on when the two guy was running, so, and then there's a rock in the front of him, so it's kind of adding more of an interesting storytelling wise and composition wise. Like, okay, these two guys probably have to run into those two. Are they gonna make it, or are they gonna make it, or are they not gonna make it? It's a wider. If it's wider, then it might not be as interesting, because this is kind of leading up to maybe he has a spot too high, so they might make it. But if it's an open plain, like open wide range of snow, that's those two guys probably won't make it. But there's a narrow chance of them that make it, because there's looks like whatever that off the frame might have some hideout, like cave or a little narrow spot that the dragon can't get in. So that might be a little more interesting. That's why I narrow down those mountain range up to the front, and then it's kind of look more interesting. So that was a lucky shot. I wasn't planning on that. So sometimes as you paint, like I say, you might get to change up some of the composition a little bit. I got stuck on a word, don't know why. But anyways, thanks for watching the video, and this is pretty much done. And I'm just gonna stop here, because there's not much more to it. You just kind of add a little more detail onto the guy. Alright, so thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to check out my channel, and I have a bunch more tutorial from a little more basic for beginners, and then up to this speed painting point, which is a little more intermediate. I wouldn't say the advanced. Advanced would be something else. And also I have a premium tutorial. You can purchase that to support the website, and without your support it might go down one of these days. Also I have a private session or mentorship on my channel. This is going to be the link that you can go to. Alright, this is about it, and there will be a link to more tutorial in the end. And don't forget, this week we're going to have an interview with a professional artist, Katie Hardware, on the 17th, I think. Yeah. Alright, have a wonderful day. I hope you learned something from this tutorial. Bye-bye.